Welcome to the Explainer. When we think about cybersecurity, we usually picture some shadowy figure trying to break down the door from the outside. But what if the biggest danger isn't out there at all? What if it's already inside, walking your halls and holding the keys? Today, we're diving into a huge shift where the lines between friend and foe are getting seriously blurry, and your own trusted tools are being turned into weapons. Just think about that for a second. What if the most destructive attack happening on your network right now looks exactly like your IT team just doing their job? Well, that's the scary new reality. Attackers are ditching the loud, obvious malware because they found something way more effective and a whole lot sneakier. So let's pull back the curtain on this new playbook. We're going to start by looking at how attackers have pretty much stopped building their own custom weapons and instead have started using the exact same tools your IT department probably relies on every single day. And believe me, this isn't just some theory. The stakes are getting higher and they're getting higher fast. Mandiant reported a staggering 75% jump in posts on ransomware data leak sites just last year. These sites are basically the digital town square where attackers go to publicly shame their victims and leak stolen data. A surge like that tells you one thing: this threat isn't just changing, it's exploding. This right here shows you the fundamental shift. For years, security teams were trained to hunt for obvious signs of trouble, like custom malware, things like Cobalt Strike Beacon. But attackers got smart. They realized, why go through all the trouble of building a noisy, custom-made weapon that might get detected when you can just use legitimate remote access software that blends right in with all the normal everyday IT traffic? And we're not just talking about one or two tools here. As you can see, attackers are using a whole suite of common, off-the-shelf software. So that leads to the billion-dollar question, right? When your IT admin and a hacker are using the exact same application, how on earth are you supposed to tell them apart before it's too late? And that leads to the next critical piece of the puzzle. How are they getting permission to use these tools in the first place? The answer is, shockingly, simple. They're not really hacking the software, they're just logging in. This whole strategy hinges on a vulnerability that's hiding in plain sight: your very own user accounts. The data couldn't be clearer. We spend so much time and energy worrying about complicated software bugs, but just look at this. Stolen credentials plus brute force attacks, that's just systematically guessing passwords over and over, that accounts for almost 40% of initial break-ins. They're not picking the lock. They're walking right through the front door with a key they found. And this is where a really dangerous concept called GhostIT comes into the picture. These are active user accounts that use your company's domain, but your IT team has no idea they exist. They're completely unmanaged. Think about an account from a former employee that never got deactivated. Each one of those is like a back door that's been left wide open, a permanent key to your kingdom just sitting there, waiting for someone to find it. And once they find that key, the clock starts ticking, and it ticks fast. The window you have to respond is terrifyingly small. In nearly a third of all incidents, it takes less than 48 hours to go from first access to deploying ransomware. Within a single week, that number jumps to over half. This isn't a slow burn, folks. This is a wildfire. Now, as if that ticking clock wasn't bad enough, there's a powerful new technology that's basically pouring gasoline on that fire. I'm talking about generative AI. It's creating an entirely new and often completely invisible attack surface for every single organization out there. And here is the absolute crux of the problem. Your own employees, probably with the best intentions, could be creating your next massive data breach. Every single time somebody pastes sensitive product designs, customer information, or private company strategy into a public AI tool, they're essentially handing over the crown jewels and creating enormous new security and regulatory risks. So how do you even start to fix this? Well, it's not about just blocking a few websites. You need a real plan. You have to address these core security gaps, starting with governance. That means creating clear rules for how AI can and can't be used. Then, you've got to secure the technical architecture, put effective controls in place, and finally, protect the very data these powerful AI models are built on. Okay, so we're facing these sneaky threats using our own tools and this brand new AI attack surface. What's the game plan? Let's walk through a straightforward strategic framework for building a defense that can actually stand up to these modern challenges. Here's your playbook. First, consolidate all the accounts that use your domain. Get rid of that GhostIT for good.
Second, you have to establish a formal AI governance framework so everyone knows the rules of the road. Third, audit and control all the paths your data can take to leave the company. Lock it down. Fourth, you need to proactively test your defenses. Use things like AI red teaming, which is basically hiring ethical hackers to find weaknesses in your AI systems before the bad guys do. And finally, harden the infrastructure where those AI applications actually live.
So this all leaves us with one last really critical question. For decades, our security thinking has been all about managing software, what's on the approved list and what isn't. But that's not the main event anymore. The real challenge today is managing access, especially when it's happening through trusted tools with what look like legitimate credentials. So, yeah, you have a policy for approved software. But do you have a plan for unapproved access?